welcome everyone. So nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. What we're going to do first of all, I think, is just, I've got my daughter Paloma who's doing the camera work today. So we're just going to give you a little look around the studio. So as you can see, this is the table where I meet my clients. And then I just have one cabinet because I only ever really have about 50 or 60 pieces at the maximum that I have that are handmade at that time. Let's just come over to the table for a second so I can show you. First of all, let's have a little look at my packaging, which I'm very proud of. It's made with 100% sustainable wool from 2 women that own a lovely sheep farm on the Hampshire border edge. They have only about 200 sheep, and the sheep are very well taken care of. They're not fed any antibiotics. So that's the packaging. And then if we come on to the pieces, which are all made with 18 karat Fairtrade gold, as we've said. I have this lovely ring here, which is made with an emerald heart and has a lot of hand stamped lines, which I do myself. And this piece was very much inspired by my trip to New Mexico, where you see a lot of this kind of hand stamping work. I also make quite a few animal amulets, which I'm going to be showing you how to make one later on today. This is my necklace, you can see here, because it's got my little Shakti S coin. I've taken it off just to show you, but I absolutely love crows and I wear this one every day. That's made with 26, I think, little black diamonds. And we also have quite a delicate little pendant here. It's called my Rosie pendant. And it's a kind of contemporary take on the shimmering heart. And it's made with a little pink diamond and all hand stamped and hand crafted. 100% of my jewellery is made by hand by me. I don't have pieces that are cast or pieces that are repeated. Everything is because it's handmade, they all come out slightly differently. Here's my Fado pendant, which I don't think is up on the Handmade in Britain website yet, but it will be coming up tomorrow. And that's a piece that's made with cognac diamonds. And what else have we got? This also, another, you can see I like my hearts. This is a ruby heart, sustainable ruby with Fairtrade gold. And the Fairtrade gold comes from Peru, from one mining community called the Macdessa mining community. Okay then, would you like to come over and see my studio? Come this way. So it's the back part of the shop where I do all my work. Got all my tools and things here, and then this is my bench, which we're going to be showing you how to make my Paloma dove amulet, and that's the piece. This is actually one that was made. This necklace was little amulets that I've made for my daughter over the years because I like to make her a piece of jewellery for her birthday every year. So, okay.
Shakti.
Yeah.
Yes, I think before you start the demonstrations, I think we would like to know, there's a question as well. We would really like to know your journey. How did you decide to be in, Fairtrade ethical gold? Where did you source it from? And how long have you been doing this?
Yes, well, I started, I think I was about 30 when I kind of had an epiphany. I'd spent a lot of time in India. I was traveling around, going to various different ashrams and meditating. And it came to a point where I was staying in Pune, the Sri Rajneesh ashram. and I got very sick. I mean, really sick, so sick I couldn't look after myself. And I was in a house called the White House, which had, I think, about 30 people living there. And there was an Israeli guy who lived on the top floor, and he basically took pity on me and took me into his room and looked after me till I got better. While I was there, he was sitting on the floor, making jewelry in the way that the Indians do. I don't know if you know Priyash, but they do it on the floor at a tiny little desk. So anyway, I just sat and watched him for a week, and then by the time I got better, he presented me with a ring he had been making for me, which was a gold and turquoise ring. And I just fell in love with the whole process, and it was basically like a light bulb moment. I was like, that is what I want to do. And I think it was about a year later that I made it to San Francisco, and I was lucky enough to get a job working for the Revere Academy of Jewellery Arts. So I basically took the graduate jeweller program there, and I trained under a 5th generation master goldsmith from Armenia called Harachna Gizian, who I still go to for advice today. So that's lovely. What else was it you asked me? Sorry, I forgot. How we are gold from? Was it?
Yes, I think I was asking, but because
the ethical.
Your journey sounds fast.
Yes, it was. Yes, so I started off just working with normal gold. It wasn't for many years that I actually heard about a lot of the awful things that were going on within the gold mining industry. Were quite shocking. I felt so heartbroken, and so I started working with recycled gold. But one day I was doing a meditation, and I just got a very, very strong, clear message that recycled gold was not good enough. It had to be fair trade gold, because you know exactly where it's come from. Anything ethical, you really want to be able to trace it back to the mine from which it came. And I know that all my gold comes from the Macdessa mining community in Peru. Yes, and the way that it comes is there's a person that makes fair trade gold jewelry, goes out to Peru, I think buys about 10 kilos of it. It gets shipped back to England, and it goes to one specific refiner, and he refines all the gold for us, and I just order direct from him. So I can order sheet. Let's have a little look in my gold box here. So you can see I can order like strips of gold, or gold in any thickness, or in a sheet form. And they're wonderful there. They make it for me. I think it takes about 7 days for me to order it.
That's quite fascinating. So tell me, what is the difference between a recycled gold and the fair trade gold? I think I kind of understand it, but still, if you can just give a few pointers, how do people find out about that?
Fair trade gold, all fair trade gold comes with a I don't know if you can even see that, but it will be stamped with the fair trade gold logo on the side of my hallmark. I think it's probably too small. So first of all, you know it's fair trade gold because it will always have the fair trade stamp on it. Secondly, the reason why it's different from recycled is the communities that elect to become fair trade are very strictly audited, which means they make sure that the workers have safe working conditions, they're paid a fair wage for the gold, and they also get a 10% premium on top of the gold price. And that 10% goes to the whole community, so they can decide on whether they want to put it towards building a school, or making sure they have a well for fresh water. Or I think even one time they used it to create a football pitch, just to kind of, keep good morale amongst the workers. They also, Fairtrade gold also means that you will not find children working in the mines in hazardous conditions. Health and safety is very important. And also another really important thing is that when the miners are getting gold out away from the rocks, they use mercury. And the mercury normally will just be dumped into the rivers, poisoning the environment, poisoning the fish, poisoning the people that drink from it. So with a Fairtrade, they make sure that they have special machines that destroy the mercury safely. So they're some of the main pointers. With recycled gold, it's a bit of an ethical, what's it called? You know, where it's not really ethical, because pretty much 100% of gold is recycled anyway, or most of it that we get that we buy has been recycled. Secondly, it's very easy for recycled gold to kind of what am I trying to say here? It's very easy for a lot of dodgy gold basically to slip it under that recycled radar. So you're still going to be having problems created with the indigenous people, the displacement of people, and all the other problems that you can see if you yeah, there's just a lot of issues that go on with the Fairtrade, with a lot of issues.
That's okay, Shakti. We did have a little bit of problem hearing you as well. I don't know what happened, but who's the refiner in the UK?
Pardon?
Who's the refiner in the UK? You were telling about it comes to one refiner.
Oh yes, Betts Metals. A man called Duncan refines it all, and it's BATTS, Betts Metals. So any jewellers that are interested, if you want to become a Fairtrade licensee, you have to register with the Fairtrade Foundation, and you will be given a number which allows you to buy the gold.
Thank you. Yeah, we'd like to see some of the demonstration and also some price points of your work as well.
Yes. I think this particular dove pendant is around £700, 700 and something, I think. So, okay, well, what I'm going to do is just show you now. I start off with a piece of paper with the dove that I drew. And then I take the thicknesses of the gold sheet that I want, paste on the paper, and then I've got to the point where I've now cut out the pieces from the template. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to solder this little wing onto the dove there. So, okay, sorry, Paloma, can you just stand back a bit because I don't have room? All right, so what we do is we'll get my block, my charcoal block, which I like to heat things on. And then I've got this piece, because it's nice if you can get some heat underneath the piece when you're heating something. So we will, sorry, I just need my optimizers. Do you know where that's? Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. And the first thing that I'm going to do is get a bit of flux, which helps everything solder together. Just put it onto the wing. And we'll also, I've got some solder pieces here, which I cut out earlier. They need to be soaked in flux. And then we're going to put, I think maybe 2 or 3 pieces. You don't want too many pieces, because what you don't want is the flux to flow and the solder to flow outside of underneath the wing. because that's going to look really messy. So I'm just going to very carefully place it down. Just make sure it's positioned correctly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to heat it.
Shakti, can you quickly see a close-up of that before you do that?
Yeah.
Because most of the times, I think because of the camera angle, we only see your hand. Yes, I think that'd be great.
You might want to come around the other side, Paloma, because I'm left-handed. Might be easier. Okay. So we need to turn the light off to heat it, just so I can see when it's become, otherwise you won't be able to tell when it gets really red. Okay, that's that done. And the way that I knew it was done is I saw a kind of flash of the solder appearing on the corner of the wing. What I need to do now is put it into my hot pickle pot, which has citric acid in. Some jewelers do use quite toxic chemicals in the workplace, but I don't. So we're going to bring it over here. We're just going to pop it into the pickle for probably about 5 minutes. And what that will do is take off the black coating. I've got some rings in there that some wedding rings that I'm working on at the moment. So just take those out. Give it a little stir around. So if you've got any other questions, because that will probably take a few minutes.
So yes, so we were talking about the prices. So you did tell the price about the amulet, but what about the rings?
Yes. Let me have a look. I might have to look some of them up. I can't actually remember all my prices for everything.
Sure.
So we can go back over and have a look at the rings.
Have a beautiful studio.
Thank you. I'm really happy here. I really wanted to create something that felt beautiful and elegant and really reflected how I feel, and something, you know, I open the door every day and I absolutely love the space that I've created. It's really me, and you can't smell it, but I also have a diffuser, so I create a lot of really nice smells in here as well. Okay, so we could start off with the Esma ring. Can you see that? Let me hold that better under the light. So let me just check and see if I can find a price for that one. That one is 2,286. And then I also showed you this one with the little ruby heart. And these hearts, they're a 1/4 carat. So let me have a look and I can show you how much that one is. And I think that the animal amulets, okay, that one's 1,523. And I think the amulets start with, like you said, the rosy pendant, that one, I think that's 473. And then most of these are, for the pendant only, are around 1,000. So shall we go back and have a look at the pickle?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, that's looking good. So I'll take that out of there. Okay, so now you can see we've got the basic shape, but I'm going to need to make the edges smooth, and I'm also going to add the little saw marks in and the eye and everything. So I think what we will do is we'll start off doing a little bit of filing. And there are standard practices that happen with jewellery. With this one, sawing, soldering, which you've seen, and now filing. And the other ones will be drilling and polishing, although I don't actually polish any of my work because I don't like that polished look. I like my stuff to look like it's, you know, been dug up from some ancient archaeological dig, or that you know, that it looks like it's just come out of the ground, basically. I like things to be a little bit rough. I don't like jewellery that's too perfect. I don't know, ever since I started learning how to make jewellery and I was looking at different styles, and I just came across a book on, I think it was Scythian gold, ancient gold, and I fell in love, and I've been making it that same way ever since then, which is what, over 20 years. Yeah. And I've never really, although I do love and appreciate other jewelry, this still remains my favorite kind of style. So we're just kind of filing the rough edges.
Can you also hold it in front of the camera for us to see as well, because the camera is a little bit far?
Yeah. Can you see that? I'm just kind of sanding off the rough edges a little bit. Can you see?
Yes, we can see that now. Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Very good. Okay, I can come back to, now you've kind of got the idea, I'll come back and do the rest later so we can move ahead. Going to get my saw. And put the saw blade in. And with the saw, you really want to hear a nice kind of singing sound like that. The other thing that I see a lot of other jewelers doing, which drives me demented, is when you're working with your saw, it should be not like that, but at a 90-degree angle. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to start. Maybe you can come around the other side now, would be easier, Paloma. I'm going to start creating just like some little tiny lines to kind of mimic the look of tail feathers. I mean, you can see it's quite detailed work, and it often involves dealing with very, very tiny stones and tiny bits of gold. So I think, you know, anyone who's thinking of training to become a goldsmith, I would highly recommend it. But I think that you do need to have quite a lot of patience. And you need to not hurry, just take your time doing things. I love this dove pendant because you've probably heard me calling my daughter Paloma. I made this for her when she was born. and it's remained one of my most popular selling necklaces. And I think that people really like it because not only is it fair trade gold, but I also donate £10 to, I think this year I'm supporting Survival International in the Amazon and the Orangutan Foundation. So every piece of jewelry that I sell, either of those gets £10. But also the symbol of the dove, obviously it's a sign of peace. And I think that it's a nice symbol. It's giving a nice message. It's a great present for a christening, I think. Or for anyone who just really wants to have some peace in their life. I think amulets help because when you see them and when you touch them, you're reminded of these things, the things that you want to have more of in your life. And the whole the reason why I started making amulets was based on my love of ancient jewelry, the ancient Egyptians. And they used to make amulets, which they would wear, not just for adornment, but for protection as well. And the, say, for example, with children, they would have children wear gold fishes, and that apparently meant that they would never drown. So quite interesting. Okay, what we're going to do now, I've done that. It needs a little bit of refinement, but we are now going to put the eye in, which I'm going to do. Put the eye there. And then I'm also just going to give it some kind of decorative, a few little decorative marks, which I like to do, just to make it a little bit more interesting and looks pretty. I mean, I guess the main part of my business are the rings, but the amulets are my true love. I feel like I could be making these for my whole life, and you can obviously never run out of animals. So just whatever inspires me. I've been trying to make a frog for a while, but I keep getting a bit stumped by the fingers, or whatever. What are they called? They're not fingers, are they? They're the feet, you know, the webby bits. But yes, I have an image of these green emeralds in its back, and I'll get there.
What's your spirit animal?
Oh, the crow, for sure. I call myself Crazy Crow Lady because crows love me. They follow me everywhere. In fact, when I bought my house in Ashburton, there's an antique dealer who has a shop, and he has so many things outside on the street, and he's always outside. And when I arrived there to move in, there was a crow was hanging out outside my front door. And I said to him, "That crow?" And he said, "Yeah, that crow has been outside your house all week, hopping up and down." And he said, "In the 22 years I've been an antiques dealer, I have never seen a crow on this street before." So yeah, so I just absolutely love crows. What's your spirit animal?
I have thought about it quite a lot. I think if I have to say, according to Chinese calendar, I was born a year of tiger.
Oh, nice.
So, but I still have to think about it, my spirit animal.
You can do a meditation. That's what I did. I did a meditation, and it was specifically for finding your spirit animal. And it was very interesting because in this meditation, I went into a cave, and there was like a little mouse. And I was like, "Are you my spirit animal?" And the mouse said, No, come with me." And he took me down these corridors to meet this crow sitting in a cave. So that's how I found out. And since then, yes, there are crows everywhere in my life.
What if I don't want to know this? Because what if I don't like the spirit animal mine? So that's the reason I don't want to know. I wish my spirit animal is dog.
I don't think, well, dogs are lovely. What's
I
wrong
know.
with dogs?
No, that's what I say. I wish my spirit animal is a dog because I'm absolutely in love with dog. And I think at this point in my life, I can say that that's the only thing in my life I want it and I can't have it.
Why not? Because you travel too much.
I travel too much and I live in 2 cities. So
Yeah.
I can't have a dog with me.
Oh, that's a shame. I know, we love our dog. In fact, I've got go over and show the dog pendant that I made. I'll just do what I'm doing here. We have a little Frenchie.
Is it a French bulldog?
Yes. Oh, they are so cute as well. They have such amazing personalities. They make you laugh all the time. And one of my friends said having a French bulldog is a bit like living with Winnie the Pooh, and I definitely agree. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to drill the hole for the bail. We call it a bail. It's like a jump ring to go through. And once I've done the drilling, I think you've pretty much seen all aspects, because you've seen the soldering, the sawing, the filing, and now the drilling. So we're going to give it a little bit of this lubrication, because it really helps everything go well. And okay, I'm going to put the drill there. Now I have to make sure the drill stays really straight. And then you can see all the little bits of gold there that have created, it's like a little gold nest. All my spare gold goes into here, into my scrap pot, because I often find when I cash that in, it's actually worth £2,000. So there we go, we've got the hole now. And oh yeah, the final part is going to be the filing. I mean, not the filing, the sandpapering. So let's find the ones that I want. Let's get that one out. So I'm just gonna, what this is gonna do, this sandpaper, is just take out any lines that we don't want. And this is not something that I would be sending out to someone in this as it is. I've just kind of basically gone over things to show everyone today, but it would definitely be finished off with quite a lot more care. I would probably go back after I've finished with you and spend about an hour just making sure that it just looks absolutely perfect. But you get the idea of, and I think this one is actually the most simplest of all the amulets. Some of them have very tiny little gold eyes, which I have to make by hand, which is a process. Yeah, they just can take, they're very time consuming. And then I also have, let me just show you here, what have I got in here? I also do a handmade chain. You can see here, I've got some coils, which is just waiting to be made into chain. And then let's just go over and I'll show you the handmade chain. The handmade chain is an investment piece because it takes me about a week to make. So I can check on what the price is, but it is fairly expensive, not going to lie. So that's the handmade chain. You can see that compared to the store-bought ones, which are still very lovely. Let me just have a look and see. I think, let's have a quick look on here. It's called my Queenie chain, and I will make sure that it goes up. I have a few clients that what they've done is they've bought the chain. Let's see if we can focus in on this. Can you just focus in on that, Paloma, that image? So what they've done is they have one piece. They get the chain, they get a piece, and then they, over time, add different things to it that they either get me to bespoke make something that's personal to them, or they like one of the pieces that I've made. And you can see here that it starts around 1300 and goes up to 1563 for a handmade chain. And that, let's just have a look at what length. You get a 20, for 1563, you do get a 20 inch or 51 centimeter chain. So it's quite long. And all these things are available to buy through the Handmade online website. I also did one of the shows, a wonderful Chelsea craft show. I absolutely enjoyed the gin and tonic very much that we were given. It was a great show, and hopefully I'll be doing some more in the future. I haven't actually had a chance to even think about doing that right now, but it is something that I would like to do. And I very much support what Handmade online is doing and Handmade in Britain. I think it's great. So thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Shakti. That's very kind of you. I have a couple of questions actually from people, and I think one of them you've answered.
Definitely. Why don't I take this off? You can sit down and I'll take a seat, and then I would love to have some questions.
So where are your precious stones coming from?
My precious stones, most of them come from America at the moment. They come from a company called Fairtrade Gems, and you are able to trace them back to the mine they came from. Now what I mainly buy from them is coloured stones, say my coloured sapphires, which come from either Montana, they're homegrown ones, or Malawi is a really good place for them to come as well. My white diamonds are all Canada mark. If anyone is a jeweler and wants to know where to get them, then please just send me a message, that's fine. Canada mark diamonds are all highly ethical. They can be traced back to 2 mines, which which is just below the Arctic Circle in Canada, and they have very, very strict regulations for the mining practices and for the wildlife around the mine and for the indigenous people of the land as well, who I know they spent a lot of time consulting before going ahead. So yes, and then I also use some stones that have come out of antique, been found antique diamonds in old rings. Not all of my stones can be traced back. My very, very beautiful rustic diamonds, the salt and pepper diamonds, I have not managed to yet find someone who I can trace them back to the source. Although I can say that the people that I buy them from, they guarantee that they haven't been used to fund any wars or involved in any conflict. But it's not quite as, I'd like to really know where something's come from. So that's a little bit disappointing for me, and maybe that would change in the future.
Great. So a couple of technical questions I have is what kind of torch do you use?
I use a water torch. which I absolutely love. Do you want to come over and have a look?
Sure, please. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yeah. I used to use propane and gas, which is also works perfectly, but it does mean that you have to have a huge oxygen and a huge gas tank in your studio, which doesn't really create problems, but if it did blow up, it would probably blow up the whole town. So I like to use my water torch. It's an aqua flame, and what you do is, sorry, it's a bit dusty, but you put water in the main part, and then in here you put a chemical called MEK, and that is able to give you a really, really hot flame. Now, I'd only recommend this if you are a goldsmith, because with gold, you can very precisely solder things, whereas if you work with silver, in order to solder, you actually need to heat up the whole piece. And so it's not really practical for doing larger pieces. I think that water torch costs about $1,000. It is expensive, but I've had it for many years now. It's very easy.
Great. What are these sanding sticks you were using?
Sanding sticks, all my sanding sticks and pretty much all my tools come from Cooks and Gold, which is, I think, cooksandgold.com. And they are just little, they're called emery sticks, I think. And they come in all shapes and sizes.
Okay. And one of the last questions we have is, how do you cut out the shape from the paper template?
Okay, so what I do is I glue the paper template onto the gold with, I like to use, just wait there, I'll go and get it for you. I just get it from Amazon, and I like to use this one. It says America's favorite craft glue, tacky glue. And the tacky glue works really well, because with some glues you'll find the paper wants to fall off halfway through, and that's no good. So I definitely recommend that one.
One of the last questions I would have is that what are your plans for the, of course, you know that Corona has impacted all of us. So what are your plans for the next year now?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, right now, the thing is, I am so busy. I'm literally just trying to keep my head, just trying to keep everything moving. But I would, ideally, what I'd like to do in the next year is maybe employ someone that can take over more of the admin side of things, so that I can really start. I've got so many designs in a book that I just really want to get started on, and sometimes it's challenging. So that would be my goal, is to make more new pieces.
That's fantastic. Are there any last words you want to say to our viewers who have been watching your fabulous demonstration?
Oh, thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to anybody who's interested. And thank you also to you for hosting these amazing events. And I'm just really happy, really happy. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shakti, and thank you everyone for watching. Next week we have Adam Hussain, who'll be showing his fabulous glasswork from his studio. Take care and bye-bye. See you next week.
Bye.